Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Jeff, and wanted to make another quick video for you guys. And today I want to talk about the worst, absolute worst interview experience that I've ever had. And it just so happens to be at a fan company. I know you see the title. This isn't clickbait. I'm telling you, it's pretty ridiculous. Um, but I want to first start off by saying why I'm making this video. I want to first say that I'm not hating or would say that that experience was so bad or anything that I'd complain with. I understand interviewing is both very hard from both sides, both the interviewee and also the interviewer. It's an extremely hard process. There's a lot of moving pieces going on, and it's never easy. And that's actually kind of why I wanted to make this video. I know there's a lot of layoffs going on. A lot of people are out on the in the job market with a lot of uncertainty, and I know how difficult it is. And I wanted to at least make a quick video and talk about my journey and be able to at least make things a little bit easier for you and ease the stress of this to give you another insight or another angle of the process of interviewing altogether. I hope this helps. I hope this at least helps you not take these things quite as seriously. Mainly because when you apply for a job, it may the company might take you super seriously and they might not. So um, it's not always your fault that you don't get a job, and I think this is one of a good highlight here to talk about. All right, so here we go. To start things off, this is a major fan company. They're one of the letters in the word FANG. And if you don't know what that is, those are the major tech companies in the United States. Uh, and I'm a software engineer, so I was doing one of their bread and butter interview sessions and panels where they reach out. And what would happen is a recruiter reaches out to you. You do some kind of like a mid round over the phone with somebody or over Zoom or that kind of thing. And it's usually like a technical screen of live coding with them, and then you move on to the final round. So I had one of these places reach out for me. Oh, by the way, this was back probably in 2017, somewhere around that time, maybe a little bit earlier actually. Yeah, some 2017, and I was actively looking for a job. And I this is it's just a funny experience. So essentially what happened was I very basic stuff. A recruiter reached out to me. I spoke with the recruiter, all fine and dandy, just talked about very basic stuff. And the next rounds was essentially jumping onto a phone screen with an interviewer, with someone at the company. So I haven't quite scheduled that out yet. They sent me the email to be able to add that to a calendar, uh, and everything I thought was fine. I was gonna do that. Next couple days, I start getting emails from the company, and then they're like, "Hey, Jeff, you just missed your interview. Is everything okay? Do you want to keep on interviewing?" And I'm like, "Hey, that's extremely weird. I haven't even scheduled one yet." And they're like, "Oh, no big deal. Must be a mix up of some sorts." Couple days go by. I actually scheduled out my interview. I think I pushed it out probably about a week, and a couple days later, I get another email. Jeff, you missed your interview again. What's going on? And I said, hey, my interview isn't for another week. I don't think I missed this. And I was extremely confused as to what was going on at that point. All right, so this was probably 2 or 3 days right before the interview. Keep in mind, they've already reached out to me twice for missing interviews. So this was the third one. All right, they reached out and they're like, hey, uh, we don't know what's going on, but you keep on missing your interviews. We want to make sure that you're doing good and that kind of stuff. And like we really can't have this happen. I'm like, hey, I don't I haven't my interview isn't even coming up. I don't really know what's going on. And at that point, I got really fishy on what's been happening. It didn't add up. I thought that maybe it was a system error or that kind of thing. So this is the crazy part. I decided to start digging into what was going on. And I went back into the portal of that company and I looked up my portal to see if there's any fragments or any details I can get from why this keeps on happening. And you guys will not believe this, but I opened this thing up, but it showed that I lived in Washington, which I'm in California, by the way. It showed somebody else's resume. It showed it showed this person's address, this no, this person's phone number, all the above on this person. And what it showed was on the secondary address, that was the primary details, but on the secondary, it was my profile. My resume, however, wasn't in place. My resume wasn't in the system. My address wasn't in there. The uh, but the odd thing was that the primary of the email was my email. However, all the other primary information was this other uh, Jeff's information out in Washington somewhere. I was like, "Hey, I think I found your issue, right? I think that you guys opened up a different Jeff's profile, and this Jeff somewhere in the distance is scheduling these interviews, and he's on the other end. He's like he's like not getting the valid verification because he must have what's probably been happening is that all the verifications and the emails have been going to me while he was scheduling them. So he's probably confused on the other end of like, hey, are we confirmed for this interview? And then they would say, oh, I don't even know what happened on his end, but essentially he must have. My guess is that he must have not been getting the emails, and then he must have kept on rescheduling with them on their end. Whereas I kept on getting the emails, and then they would keep on saying that, hey, you're still missing all your interviews. So very, very odd situation here. What actually ended up happening was they did actually fix my profile. They went in there. Actually, I did it myself. I went in there and they had me fix my profile. And as a kind of a courtesy, which I was honestly kind of surprised at this point, they were like, "Hey, well, we're gonna try to schedule you out as soon as possible and whenever you can." Uh, this is kind of the suspicious part that I'm still a little confused about, but they scheduled me out. I did my interview, and this is actually a really great guy. I think I did pretty well. Had a great session, and even during the interview, the gentleman said that, "Hey, you did a good job, good work. That was a fun session, and you did great." And of course, right? It's an interview. I mean, they could have been just saying that, but I personally do think that I passed the question, that kind of stuff. And not a day goes by, they send me a rejection letter right off the bat and say that and said that, hey, you didn't pass the interview. Better luck next time. The generic, unfortunately, we can't accept you type of thing. And I was so confused at that point because I literally just had the conversation uh, with the gentleman the day before that I actually went on LinkedIn and found him again and was like, hey, can you give me some feedback on what happened? I thought that things went pretty well. And he straight up told me, he was like, hey, things things did go pretty well. I'm not quite sure what happened. I gave you pretty good feedback overall, so I'm not sure what happened on their end. So that's basically the story there. A lot of weird pieces here, a lot of weird things, but I think the main perspective here is that I mean, I'm sure there's like 10 violations here for something or uh me being able to see someone else's information. I'm sure there's a lot of issues with going on here. Again, not blaming the company, not saying this is a bad thing. Again, wanted to share this story with you guys because interviewing is so hard. We put so much pressure on ourselves to try to pass and try to ace interviews, try to get that dream job that we want to. And many times it's a good reminder that many times that the company might not even be on the same page as you or might not value you quite as much as you value the job. And unfortunately, in my situation, they really, really didn't value me very much. I think at that point I don't want to say that I passed the interview, but I would say that from what has happened before, I feel like it's debatable if they just cut me out of the process because of the mix up or that kind of thing, and just figured it was best to not have me continue. Either way, I think what I want you to get out of this is these things are so difficult. Don't put your eggs all in one basket, especially with with companies that don't quite value you as much. Folks that want you and folks that want you to work there, that they'll let that be known. And it's also important to remember that folks are like in different stages of their interviewing process. They might just be testing the waters to see what kind of candidates they can get. They might actually be actively hiring, or they might just be looking for someone very specific. Or you could just be going through the interview process for them to get a certain bar or barrier so that they can find other candidates, or just whatever that may be. So uh, hard lesson learned here. From then on, I basically realized how silly this all was, and I stuck with, moving forward. I really stuck with, you know, if a place wants me, if it's gonna work out, it's gonna work out, and there's no stress really, um, gunning for places that I am uncertain of their actual position as they interview me. So hope you guys found that a little bit funny. And if you guys have any feedback for me, of course, I'd be happy to speak to any of you guys and talk anything through. If you have any videos that you want me to make, be happy to give it a shot. And if not, thanks a lot. I'll talk to you guys soon. Later.